Welcome to the 10th anniversary of REIMAGINE 2021. Presented by Mousebelt. Coming up next.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brad, co-founder of Unstoppable Domains. Happy to be here at REIMAGINE.
Hello and welcome to REIMAGINE 2021. This is our one-year anniversary, actually, and our 10th edition of this conference that's been going on. We host these events as part of our monthly series, bringing you nothing but the best projects, bright minds, and leaders in the space. We've been fortunate enough to invite many talented individuals and teams to come speak with us, providing updates, insights, and all the above that's happening in crypto. I'll be your host today, Adam, from the Mousebelt team, where we focus on early stage investments through our accelerator or providing development support to a number of growing projects, as well as education within our Mousebelt University program. Our main objective and goals are pretty simple. It's straightforward. It's increasing adoption, use cases, real world applications, and not only that, obviously like education of what we're doing, what we're building. So I'm very fortunate here to have Brad Cam. Him and his team are becoming a regular on the show, and we're very fortunate to have you back again. How you doing, Brad? Thanks for taking time out of your day.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back.
Awesome. So prior to this, I was kind of thinking man, what am I going to talk about? Right. You guys have been on and there's so much going on, so much been going on in the space as always, as the pace of innovation continues. One thing that what was kind of cool, and we'll kind of dive right into it. I wasn't aware of this, but talk about the wallet, right? Where your wallet holds your NFTs. Now you can connect it to your domain, and now it can become an NFT, like your art gallery. Is that right?
So the domain names are NFTs, and yep. So every single blockchain domain name is an NFT. They're ERC 721 tokens on Ethereum, just like probably most other or many other NFTs you're interacting with. So you store that in your wallet, and then what you do is you point the domain name to various other wallets where you want to receive money. So I could have my domain name in MetaMask, and then I could be directing my Bitcoin to go to Coinbase wallet. And then I could be directing my Ethereum or my Litecoin to my Trust wallet or something else like that. So it's like a universal, decentralized ID. It's a username that you as the user control. And you can use it for any of your crypto apps, any currency.
Yeah, no, that's great. What do you think about NFTs then? Is it a fad? Is it a bubble? What's your take on it? A lot of it's around art. There's a lot of kind of use cases coming out or applications of it for artists, musicians. What's your take on NFTs? We just had an event a couple months ago. That was the theme. Obviously, that was the boom. And it's, NFTs have become more popular than DeFi in terms of maybe more awareness or more people knowing about it, as opposed to DeFi, which has more value in terms of like the market. But how do you see NFTs playing out? You guys are obviously involved in it as well.
It's like all of these it's like all of these industries, all these tech industries. It takes 5 years to be an overnight success. So all of those projects that are popular now, almost all have been building, or those people have been building in crypto for many, many years. If you go back to 2019, so there's a great conference called NFT NYC that is just a community of builders, all different types of NFT related apps. There's like ticketing, and there's gaming, and there's art, like you mentioned, and there's domains. There's all different types of stuff. And that community is vibrant. And that event was packed in 2019 in February during the crypto winter. So all of this stuff has been brewing, and this excitement has been building for many years. These companies have been maturing, and it was the latest wave of people coming into crypto that weren't previously in crypto. And that has been a lot of the art community, various other celebrities, some other groups of people that had previously not been in. And that's awesome. That's just a new wave, though. DeFi was a wave that peaked a bit before NFTs. But when these waves peak, they peak in the sense that people gain awareness of them, not in the sense that they don't go down necessarily after their peaks. Maybe in the short term they do. But what's actually happening is they're growing. So like DeFi peaked, DeFi summer was 2020, but DeFi is bigger than it was during that peak. It's just that this other narrative grabbed the popular opinion because that's the new thing. So each time there's a new thing, that'll take over the narrative. It's going to be something beyond NFTs pretty soon. There's going to be another thing that's going to grab it. But NFTs will continue to grow in the background.
Where do you think the demand's going to come? Where do you think the demand's going to come from? Do you think it's going to come from, the producers in terms of minting NFTs? Do you think it's going to come from like the buy side, consumers, individuals wanting NFTs? Where do you see the demand lying? And my question revolves around like tangible versus intangible. Actually owning something, in the physical world as opposed to the metaverse. Where do you think the demand is now? And do you think it's just going to pick up in terms of like who wants this? Younger generations? Do you think artists want to make NFTs for their life, but there still needs to be, a demand, a marketplace for this?
Digital assets are better than physical assets, and over time the world is going digital. And our assets are moving digital. Young people are more likely to embrace this than older people, but that's true for every technology trend, that it's the people that have the least at stake in the old system that go and embrace the new one. And it's just better. The assets are more secure, they're more liquid, they can be much more easily traded, they can be much more easily protected. And it's a better way. So just like having physical art is hard to handle and it has to be locked in some vault or be secured and it's difficult to move around and difficult to trade, digital art solves that. It's just over and over and over again. That's what crypto does. It gives users custody of digital assets, and all of a sudden they become like the superhero versions of their analog versions.
And what about like if you were gonna turn like a building into an NFT, or like what do you think is going to happen to the physical item? Almost like CDs, right? Like right now we stream it. We actually don't have any CDs anymore. We used to have vinyls, CDs, cassettes, and now we're just streaming. Is there some kind of an analogy there in terms of we're not going to really care about physical items, or that's going to be very, limited in terms of, converting your NFT into the physical item?
I don't really know how they're going to do physical world to digital world type stuff. I think that's actually super hard. I think taking something that used to be physical and making it completely digital native is easier. And so that's what you've seen most right now. That's just better. That's just an improvement on the way that physical assets used to work. And you see that a lot just with physical art versus digital art. You see it with money, like money itself. Like money itself is analog, physical, has like a paper representation, and then it's supposed to have a paper representation. It doesn't 100% have a paper representation, but it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And you watch that move into the digital, user-controlled, clear when new money is being printed. All of these are representations. Domain names sitting on a centralized server to domain names being issued on a blockchain and stored inside of a user's wallet. Collector cards, all of these businesses, all of these different industries, they all stem from the same premise, which is the crypto premise. User is in control of the digital asset. They store it in their wallet. That's what makes all the other stuff happen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, interesting. I mean, there's a lot going on. Do you see any other use cases outside of art and like music? Have you seen anything?
So there's art, there's music, there's gaming collectibles, there's items in the metaverse, there's domain names, which are actually identities. There's yeah, those are some of the biggest ones that have emerged so far. There's going to be so many more, like ticketing, access. Ticketing is really just access to something. That's another really big category. All subscriptions, like subscription products, those can be, those have already been represented as NFTs. NFT, it's amazing that NFT actually wound up being the category, because it's not a category.
Yeah,
it's a catch-all for everything that's not a currency.
totally.
So literally everything that's not a currency. It's kind of, I mean, I wouldn't have guessed 3 years ago that was going to be the term that people rallied around to describe this stuff, because it's just not very specific. Literally everything.
Yeah, you're right. And you can tag anything as an NFT, and it's just basically a unique identifier, right? That's one of a kind. And yeah, NFT kind of makes it more of a token, which it is, but the use case kind of spans. I mean, you could use it for record keeping, anything really that's to its unique purpose, which is kind of cool. So within blockchain, everything's kind of decentralized, peer-to-peer. And I'm going to stick to NFTs for a little bit, or a couple more questions. But in terms of like, one thing that I didn't think about is we're kind of using NFTs in a decentralized version. But like, what about like, is it really disruptive when we have an NFT, but we're using like still a centralized like middleman, in terms of people taking cuts off the top? How do you see kind of that funnel maybe opening up a little bit? Because one thing, you create an NFT, then you got to go sell it, and then you got to go to a marketplace, then they take cuts, and it's just kind of like reliving a little bit of what we do now. Do you kind of see any issues there?
I don't think that anyone knows what they mean when they talk about decentralization. It doesn't have any one specific meaning.
Yeah.
The thing that I think is important is custody. The user has custody. The user gets to choose. So the user gets to choose what to do. The user wasn't forced to go and sell their NFT on that marketplace. The user chose to, because that was the best option for them. And I think services taking cuts and having revenue is a good thing. It leads to healthy and efficient systems. So systems that don't have business models or don't have incentive structures to scale, or have unhealthy incentives when they scale, are not impactful. So I celebrate situations where somebody has come up with an incentive that is both good for me, the user, and good for themselves, because I can see how that could create big impact. So no, I think that there's a confusion between ownership and custody and decision-making governance. And decision-making governance, there's just going to be all kinds of different types. There's going to be the current type where there's going to be like the dictator projects. There's going to be the board, the board member version, where there's a handful of insiders in the dark room, and there's going to be the duocracy, only the people that have done stuff. And there's going to be every person on the planet all gets a vote in this decision, completely nonprofit. There's going to be all types, and all of these types are have the potential to offer something to the market. And so there's not one thing. I remember these debates in the crypto community where people were talking about how Coinbase was bad, because Coinbase was a centralized provider. But what Coinbase did is they figured out how to onboard tens of millions of people into crypto, and now crypto is way bigger. So you have to ask yourself, when you're thinking about how you feel philosophically about somebody's business model, are they growing crypto? Yes or no? If yes, it's good for you.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I'm a and that's going to lead me into my next question, which I just thought right now was, I feel like you guys are doing that in the domain space. I didn't lead in with it because we have a lot of interviews, but let me, I'm getting new audiences now, so I should touch on it. Give me what Unstoppable Domains is, because I feel like you're leading that path in this kind of vertical, this part of blockchain, and I think everybody can relate to domain names. So give us a quick little, insight into Unstoppable Domains.
Yeah, so we build domain names on blockchains. They are NFTs. They're stored inside of your wallet. This is different than a traditional domain name that would be stored by your registrar, like a GoDaddy or something like that. The other thing that's very different about blockchain domains is they do more than just your websites. They are your digital identity on the internet. You can use them to receive money, to receive crypto. So you can send me Bitcoin or ETH or any other cryptocurrency to brad.crypto. You can go check out my website at brad.crypto, and I can log into apps using brad.crypto. It's kind of like how I would from like with Facebook OAuth or Gmail OAuth or something like that. So it does a lot more things than a traditional domain name. We've been doing this for about 3 years, integrated with about 60 different wallets and exchanges, a couple of browsers, Brave browser and Opera browser. It's early days for this technology, the decentralized web and digital identity. But there's a good number of people that have already claimed domains. I think there's like 1.2 million domains registered so far.
Wow.
And they're also collectibles, just like other NFTs. So they have all those same dynamics. You can trade them on OpenSea, all that good stuff.
Talk about like the value or the impacts of integrating browsers into your domain. What does that do to your, I guess your identity or this wallet? Like, how does it all work together?
So the thing about blockchain domains is that their goal is just to make it so I've got like a username, and then I can associate information with it. But the problem is that all that information, somebody needs to go and decide. An application needs to decide to go and support this username system. So the way the Web 2 works, I build my own username system into my app. The way Web 3 works, the user has a username already, and they just log into my app. And so each app needs to decide to support the domain name system. And so all these crypto wallets have had to decide to support this standard, and browsers also need to decide to support them for websites. The crazy thing here, just so people make sure that it's clear, brad.crypto is like my decentralized Venmo account. You can send me money in Coinbase wallet or blockchain.com or bitcoin.com or many, many other wallets, same username in every one. And you can go and check out my website, brad.crypto, inside of Brave browser and Opera browser, and see and you can see my website content. So same domain name, same username, works for both.
How do you direct what payment goes to what? You said at the beginning, like you can have this payment go here or this coin go there. Is that an option when it populates like on the receiving end?
So when I configure my domain name, I can configure it to whatever wallets I want, and it's on a per currency basis. So I send my Bitcoin here, I send my ETH there, etc.
Yeah. No, that's super cool. And like, why do you think this is? And how do you think this impacts like the normal daily user, right? That's looking into crypto. Maybe they're brand new. Does this kind of keep them on the path of the UI UX that they're accustomed to, and how they operate in their current apps and payment, fintech payment operators?
Yeah, and there's a big missing piece right now in crypto payments where it doesn't really work as well as Web 2 payments in some ways, because like with Venmo, when I want to pay you, I go and I type in your username, I see your face, I can verify some social information about you before I send you the money. In crypto, I get nothing. I just have this random address, and I just got to hope it's the right person. And so we're missing that identity piece. And so this is the identity piece, the blockchain domain. It's actually better than the Web 2 version, because my username in Venmo only works in Venmo. My username here works in every crypto app. So you and I don't need to be using the same app in order for us to transact. That is a completely different way for the internet to work.
And is that a benefit that you guys provide, or is that a blockchain technology thing?
That's whole technology thing that like this idea that you can sign in with your wallet and the application can have 100% assurance about certain things, certain things about other people who are transacting with you. So what we're doing is we're adding a human readable username on top of that. That's the piece that we're doing. So right now, if you wanted to tell me what your wallet was so that we could transact, you would need to memorize your 40 character address, and you need to communicate that to me somehow. Here, I've got this username. I can actually abstract it away from any particular wallet. I can tie tons of different wallets to it. That's the superpower.
I'm always double checking that copy and paste when transacting, right? To make sure I got the whole thing, didn't leave off one digit or one letter at the end.
So we've asked our users about this a lot. Like, what is it about regular crypto payments that's a problem? And the way that it was most commonly described is it's scary.
Yeah.
And that was the word that came up the most. And so this is a way to make sending crypto less scary, because you have the address verified. Like, you can just look and you can see that you typed in brad.crypto correctly, and this address is tied to it. So it's going to the address of the person who you intended it to.
And you guys are developed on Ethereum?
Yeah.
Any other chain?
We have a registry that's on another chain that we launched very early on, .zil on Zilliqa.
Oh, that's right.
In general, we are blockchain agnostic.
Yeah.
The way that the system works, you can send any cryptocurrency using any domain name. So you as the user don't actually need to care which blockchain it's on. It actually just works this way, where you can send Bitcoin or ETH or any cryptocurrency to any domain name. But there's a lot of advantages to being on Ethereum, because it's where all the integrations already are. All these apps already have it supported, and so it becomes a lot easier for them to integrate domain names.
How has the infrastructure, I mean, you guys are early on, so how has the infrastructure matured? You guys are growing with it. Have you guys had to build your own tooling and infrastructure to maintain some of this operation? Is it available?
So we're launching smart contracts directly on the blockchain. And one thing that we just did that was a pretty major architecture update for us is, so we announced 8 new TLDs. So this was pretty big for us. It was .coin, .wallet, .nft, .dao, .bitcoin. I'm sure I'm going to leave a couple out. .blockchain. And the idea was to have registries for more crypto communities. The NFT community is vibrant. We think the DAO community is going to be vibrant. Like you were talking about, this wave of NFTs being the narrative. I think there's going to be a very near future when DAOs are the narrative, and they're in the New York Times all the time too. So I think it's just a matter of time there. But anyway, when we did this launch, we updated our system and created what's essentially a meta registry. So one giant system that can create multiple domain name systems. And this is very new architecture for us, but ultimately what it would need to look like to be kind of the next generation, blockchain based domain name registry system. And
is this like proprietary, or is this open source?
Well, it's all on chain. The writing of the smart contracts part is actually not the hard part. The hard part is getting applications to read it. So like if you're in the woods all by yourself and no applications are listening, it doesn't really matter what you launched. So that's really the hard part, and that's also the thing that gives your system legitimacy, is that it works in all these various places. And that users can use it, and users do use it.
And what's smart contracts going to do, this implementation?
So it's a registry. So what happens is that you ask it, hey, does this domain name exist? If no, mint it.
And you brought this up a little bit earlier. You listened to feedback, and during all my discussions, right, community is, especially in blockchain, community is pretty important. right? You can have the best tech, no community, it's not going to work. You have a good product, maybe no community, like it's just kind of an uphill battle. You can have a great community and your product or tech may not be the best, but it's working, it's functioning, it gets the job done. And you brought it up about listening to kind of your user base. Like how do you do that? Or not how do you do that, but elaborate on that a little bit. I think product market fit is kind of where I'm going. You guys are evolving. You guys are providing solutions. You guys are listening. How do you maintain kind of that? I don't know. How do you maintain that effort to evolve, with your user base, and not only that, like the industry?
Well, we have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week community chat in Telegram. So, the nice thing about crypto is that users are very engaged and they're also very vocal. And I don't think they're super shy about, when they don't like stuff. Exactly. So I feel like unlike other businesses, you tend to get your feedback, positive and negative, very quickly and continually. And so it's more about figuring out how to having a system for taking that in, like getting good as a company at, okay, we know this is a problem, or we know this is an opportunity. Let's make it happen for everybody.
And act on it, right? Yeah, you're right. And act on it. No, you're totally right. Like I've noticed, and we all know this in the blockchain, it's just kind of, you live and die a little bit by, your followers, your users. You listen to them. You have to continuously answer questions, provide updates and insights. A lot of blog writing, a lot of content distribution to just keep everybody aware. We're building a bridge too as well, and same thing, about ETAs, and ideally they're not even worried about the development part. They're just like, we need to keep our community happy. They're asking us. And it's probably one of the only spaces where, they're pretty aggressive, or in a good way. It keeps you accountable, on your roadmap and milestones and deliverables.
Mm-hmm. We also have a one-to-one chat, which I think is a little bit less common. But on the website, you can just do one-to-one chat. And we learn a ton there, because somebody gets stuck on something and they don't understand why something is like it is. And sometimes it means we need to explain it better, and other times it means we should get rid of it because it didn't make sense.
Exactly. How do you see this playing into the hands of businesses, unstoppable domains? Right now, we're kind of talking about peer-to-peer, individual. How do you see institutions leveraging this technology? Because it's just a website to them. It's just, driving traffic. What you're offering is just more services available to transact, to interact.
I think they're going to use it. So I think that they're going to use it more as users in the short term. I think this is more of a consumer identity crypto app login solution in the short term. I think eventually it will probably go much broader into just business use cases. But right now, the way that the data storage stuff works, as well as just the simplicity of the need of the consumer relative to the business, it just means the consumers are just going to happen way earlier. So I think that's probably kind of like a thing that's counterintuitive here. But we see all kinds of people buying their names, like their first and last name, first names, things like that. Like we see all of this more like your Twitter username type, your Twitter handle type names, type purchases, things like that. It's much more about this identifier, this ID, my decentralized ID, kind of that's been the pattern so far. And so it's been less of a focus on people actually building websites or displaying content. You can do that. You can also do that with a traditional website. So it's been more around this ID that I control, that I can use to log in. And I'm signing in I'm logging in this secure way that's not controlled by Facebook or anybody else. It's really just relying on the blockchain.
And would you say people that are looking into this, we have an audience here from students to industry professionals to people looking to get into crypto, right? I feel like it's kind of inevitable what you guys have built, how we're going to operate moving forward. I would say like this is kind of a good way to position themselves in an easy way for like Web3, right? The Web3 feature.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got a couple more minutes here. You had mentioned something pretty kind of stuck with me. When I think about unstoppable domains, I've interviewed you before. We've interviewed your team quite a few times, and one thing you said in the past, and it's cool. It's there's this thing like censorship resistant versus like control of your own identity and kind of operating yourself. And when I first heard of unstoppable domains like few years ago now, I thought it was like really censorship resistant in terms of resisting, or being kind of siloed and anti-government and all that. But it's just more than that. It's about kind of just owning your own shit, right? And being able to control what you want to control in terms of your identity, your payments. Can you elaborate? So what I've heard you say, like censorship resistant is different than, versus like self-control of your own assets.
Well, so censorship resistance is a small market relative to most people on the planet who are not concerned directly about censorship but are concerned about ownership. And so the problem in America, for American users in particular, is not censorship. People say it's censorship. Getting kicked off of Facebook is not censorship. Censorship is referring to the government. The problem that we have in America is about ownership. Those platforms own you and own your information, and there's no way for you to get off of them, so you own it. That's actually the core problem. And the same happened in crypto. We're very, very early on with cryptocurrencies. People were talking about, wow, this is going to be, censorship resistant money for drug markets and for all of this other kind of extreme stuff. And those were some of the early people that got excited about it. But that was not what crypto turned into. Cryptocurrencies turned into this thing that was about storing and controlling your own assets for the whole planet. And did not wind up being about those things that people. So it's a little bit more of like a way that it's kind of like the fear argument. It's like saying, if you have this tech, like, the people that are going to use it are the people that are using it for antisocial things. But that's just not painting the picture of what people are actually doing. And so I think that's been true for all these crypto markets. That's true for blockchain domains, centralized web. It's true for DeFi. It's been true for cryptocurrencies themselves. It's just most people are just trying to own their own stuff and pursue wealth and happiness and all these other things. It's just there's some kind of, I think mostly the arguments that focus on the antisocial behaviors are coming from outside. The people that are worried about crypto, but it's just not most people, and it's not most crypto users.
And I couldn't think of the word, but that's what it was, ownership. I was kind of drawing a blank there. And that's kind of important. Like you said, in the crypto space, it's not so much about all these other kind of narratives of like, you're right, like, running away from the government, hiding things. In fact, it's kind of the quite opposite. Like they could easily track a lot of this stuff, but the difference is that we own it. We're in control of our data. We're in control and own our own, assets and financials. And same thing here. Like, a lot of people think, like you said, when I've heard about people talking about unstoppable domains, which again, I've known for like a few years here based out of SF, people right off the bat thought it was like more of a website thing and like censor, which that works, but like that wasn't the use case, right? It's more than that. It's bigger than that. And I just wanted to clarify that and provide our viewers like what you meant by that, because I heard you say that in another interview, and that really stuck with me because I was like, yeah, you're right. Actually, that's what it's about. That's what crypto's about in general. It's about a lot of things, and it touches a lot of aspects of our lives that we currently aren't aware of, because we've all been in Web 2.0 for a little while. And that's giving up our info and just social securities left and right just to even get into the library, right? We give up so much nowadays. And I think this is going to, what blockchain is doing is just giving us back our control as much as we can and operating in this alternate world where, yeah, we have a little bit more control and ownership, a lot more control and ownership. So thanks for kind of clarifying that. But I wanted to highlight that, especially in this discussion, because again, what you guys are working on is bigger than just censorship resistance. So I think we're all good here today. Where can people learn more about unstoppable domains? And I know you guys are like doing like your own videos, like daily content. Where can people view all this stuff?
Yeah, so well, check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Twitter at Unstoppable Web. And of course, just go to unstoppabledomains.com. You can find everything.
Awesome. So again, I know it's Friday. The weekend's coming. We're both back in the city here, living the life a little bit. It's a little bit cold, but we hope to have you back again. I'm sure we will. And, again, thank you for taking that time out of your day to come chat about everything in crypto and enlightening us a little bit. So we'll hope to see you again. Thanks, Brad.
Thanks.
All right, for everybody watching, I'm Adam, your host. Hopefully you're enjoying the conference, and we'll see you again.